everyone. Welcome to the Sports Wave Network. This show is called Sports Corner with the Conn Man. And, I have with me today a very special guest. He goes by the name of Paul Pressey. Paul, 6'5", 185 pounds, born December 24th, 1958. I'm going old school on you, bro. He went to George White, I think that's how I pronounce it, in Richmond, Virginia. He attended Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he's also an inductee of Tulsa's Hall of Fame. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, man. Conn Man, what's up with you, man?
I'm hanging in there.
Huh?
I'm hanging in there, my brother. Now, what I want to do is, first of all, Paul also played 10 seasons in the NBA. He played most of them with Milwaukee, and I think he played with San Antonio and Golden State. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
You had a great career, and I distinctly remember you when you guys played against the Celtics because I'm out here from Boston, south of Boston. So you guys had a rivalry.
I know you're a Celtic fan. That's okay.
No, I'm not. No, absolutely not. Believe me. I'll tell you why. I had Sam Jones on my show, and he gave me the real deal 3 months before he passed away. So, I got a little bit more information than most people received. What I like to do, Paul, is when I have first of all, I want to thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I want to tell folks how this all originated. There's a good friend of ours. His name is Claude Pritchard. For folks who don't know who he is, he's an outstanding trainer. And he came and worked here at the place called the Burgo Basketball Association. We became good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get some guests. And I've been trying to get Nate Archibald, who's supposed to be coming on. We're waiting.
Good man. My old teammate.
Yes, I guess he's been ill, but we're going to have him on. And he said, whoa, I got Paul Pressey. Would you like him on? I said, what? You know me. I said, what? I said, of course. So I want to give props to Claude Pritchard for, hooking me up with you. And now, Paul, I know what I usually like to do is I like to have people talk about their grind. I want you to bring it back to the early 70s.
Okay.
Beginning with your high school career. And also, what are you interested in basketball? And give the viewers a little bit of a little history of you.
Well, I'm the baby out of 8 kids. I got, at least I had 6 sisters. I lost one, but it was 6 girls and 2 boys. And come from a household of single parents. My mother raised 8 kids by herself. And I actually was born in Williamsburg, Virginia. Then moved to Richmond, Virginia. It was only 50 miles apart. Went to George Swift High School. Sadly, dropped out my freshman year in high school. And my family, everybody screaming at me, you better get back in there in school and get to work and blah, blah, blah. But long story short, I go back. I don't play my freshman year. And then my sophomore year, I'm playing intermirrors. And they're watching me play.
Right.
Coach at the high school, and my coach was Robert Booker. Said, we need to get that kid on our team, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I played my sophomore year and my junior year. I only played 2 years of high school.
Oh.
Going into my senior year, I was too old to play. So I took the GED after my junior year and left and went to junior college in Western Texas Junior College.
Oh.
Who was the coach there? Nolan Richardson.
Arkansas. Okay.
So I go there for 2 years. Unbelievable season. Go there the first year, we lose 5 games with 27-5. Lost in the championship in Hutchinson, Kansas, against 3 Rivers. The next year, my sophomore year, we come back. I also took 2 of my. It was 4 of us from my high school that went there. 3 of us stayed. Second year, we go undefeated with 37-0. Nolan gets the job at Tulsa. He takes 4 of his players off of that team, and he recruits the guy that almost beat us in the finals. He went to Jefferson State. His name was Mike Anderson, and was playing. Mike Anderson. At Arkansas, coached under Nolan. But long story short, he recruited Mike also, and Mike and I were roommates at Tulsa. And we get there, Tulsa our first year. We win the NIT. We go to New York, play in the finals against Syracuse, beat Syracuse at the Garden at their home court. So after that, Milwaukee, get married, 4 kids, 10 year, 11 years career, coached 21 years after that. Um, and the career has been fantastic. Conn, man, it's just been a blessing, man, to have that kind of career go by that fast. And in the midst of all that, I got a chance to meet some. Julius Erving was my guy, as a youngster. I'm looking at Julius as, man, that's I want to play like that. I want to, and all of a sudden I'm playing against him, because Philly is in our division. My first game against him, I'm like this, and he's dunking. But Moncrief was my teammate, Bob Lanier, Marcus Johnson, Junior Bridgman, Mickey Johnson, Harvey Catchings, Phil Ford, Charlie Chris, Dave Cowens, Tiny Archibald. When I came into the league, I was the only rookie. So all those guys were mentors to me. I learned from those guys. And of course, back then, Conn, man, the rules was different. Much more physical game. You can put your hand on people. And that's the way I played. That's the way I was used to playing. And so I didn't have a problem with that coming in, but Moncrief was kind of my mentor. He kind of grabbed me by the hand and said, "Hey, Rook, this is how we do things." And they was on a mission. At that time when I came in, matter of fact, they traded Quinn Buckner to Boston, and they drafted me, saying, okay, well, he can be the guy that kind of plug in this spot from Quinn. Well, it was a blessing for Quinn because he got a championship like 2 years later. But that was my introduction to the NBA with all those veterans who had a mission to win a championship. Don Nelson was like, I got to get this done now. And he was trying to plug in all these guys to try to, make this team right, because I think I played with Marcus maybe 2 years. And then they traded Marcus to LA. And they got for Terry Cummings, Ricky Pierce, and Craig Hodges.
Those some great players, man.
So I went from Bridgman, Brian Winters, Harvey Catchings, Marcus Johnson, Bob Lanier, Moncrief. I went from all those guys to Sidney was still there. We traded and got Terry Cummings, Ricky Pierce, Craig Hodges, and a host of other guys in the draft. And so Don Nelson was still chasing, and Bob Lanier was, winding down trying to get that ring. And with his knees being bad and all that, he was one of the unbelievable players that I ever played with because he knew how to win. And and it wasn't about practice; it was about winning games. And he really, unfortunately, we lost him a couple of years ago. But what a mentor! What a mentor!
Now, Paul, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Yep.
With all that talent,
yep.
How come y'all didn't win the championship?
Well, let me paint the picture for you. You go across the board. Okay, you got Philly was struggling, trying to get there. Boston was the team you had to go through. So you look at the rosters now. We had a pretty good roster. We had a competitive roster. Now we're going against the Celtics, who has Danny Ainge, Bird, Maxwell, the Chief, McHale. I'm missing out DJ, Dennis Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And then a host of other guys off the bench. And so we was almost compared, but we always had to go against them at their home court. And that last run we had was Game 7 at their place. And let me back up. My rookie year, which I was totally impressed, I was shocked. We swept them, okay, because doing back then was best out of 5. So we beat them 3 in a row. And I'm a rookie.
Okay.
oh man, it's like this. I'm ready. With the Celtics. But after that, we had to go through them, go through them, go through them. And each year, guys was getting a little older. Now we're bringing in Jack Sigma, Paul McKeskey of the world, and slowly those other guys like Marcus is gone, Junior Bridgman is gone, Harvey Ketchen is gone, Brian Winters is gone. All those, so now we're injecting in some new guys, even though we
Right,
were
right.
very talented and we competed our butts off. But at the end of the day, it was tough. It was really tough. And then you got Philly slips in there one year. They win it. Now the next team is Detroit. Now we got to go against Detroit with the same kind of crew, but now Moncrief is gone. We still got, we're bringing in guys like Kenny. We drafted Kenny Fields. We made some trades and got Alvin Robinson. And we moved around with some pieces. And we still were good, but I was getting, I had about 6-7 years in now. Terry Cummings was right with me because we came out the same year. We were still good. We still had a good team. But the Bad Boys was the next team. And they came with it, and they proved that they earned it every year, and they did the back-to-back thing. They lasted for about 5 years, 6 years. Mm-hmm. And then, boom, we were done by then because now it was Chicago. Now our career, that's when, boom, I get traded to San Antonio, and now they break the team up. But it was tough. It was really a tough East Coast challenge between Philly, Boston, Detroit, and Chicago. And it was a pecking order as it went, because after a while, when we got running after Boston, they ran out of gas. Guys was getting hurt, getting old. And in the midst of that, like I said, we couldn't steal one out of there like Philly did. They got them one and got out of there. But then it was the younger guys came in with Detroit, and then Chicago took, the long stretch of like 7-8 years. They owned the Midwest. And so it was, and I don't regret none of it. It was unbelievable basketball, unbelievable competition. And man, Conn Man, it was the basketball era of serious competition every night. Every night.
And what's good too? I like to tell folks, I don't think you guys had load management or time management, whatever. I don't think there was none of that back in them days.
Well, I gave the load. This was our load management. If I was averaging 36, 38 minutes a night, and we get ready to head into the playoffs, and if we got 3, 4 games, 5 games left in regular season, and we can't improve our position for a playoff, then Don Nelson would say, "Hey, Press, you've been playing about 38 minutes tonight, so you're only going to play 20. You're going to play 10 the first half and 10 the second half." Mm-hmm. But you played. And not only that, we had training camp all 30 days. And we went all the way up to all 30 days. I bet we did 25 of them was 2-a-days. Now, we were built different. The demand of you playing was a demand for you to play, and you didn't play, it's almost like you don't get paid. And so that was an everyday thing. And people look at it like this, Conn Man, they look at it like this. They'll say, "Yeah, but it's like these guys making like $150, $200 million now." Okay, let me Conn Man, let me put it to you this way. What is the difference between me doing my time, let's say making $300,000? That was like $150 million to me at that time.
I hear you, absolutely.
My value of what I was playing for and making was just as good or more valuable than what they're doing today. But I get it. They built a little different, and it's okay. I'm rooting for all the guys today to make as much as you can, play as long as you can, and let's keep this game of the basketball legacy rolling.
And something, Paul, I know you're going to agree with me on this one. It seems like teams have to go through the pain to get to the glory. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
You had the Lakers and the Celtics. They had to go through each other, and Detroit caught them when
Yep.
they were going downhill. And that's
Mhm.
kind of what Chicago did to Detroit.
Yep.
Except for Golden State. I think that was probably the only team that really did that. But you got to go through your growing pains. No, and that's
Well,
great. Did they have a lot of back-to-back games?
I always say this: you must go through the process before you get the product, and that's and
I
that's
like
one
that. I'm
of
gonna have to use that.
and that's one of the things that, and that's just life, and it's how you learn those traits of getting better, taking care of your body. Um, like guys like I look at like Zion Williams. Okay, the
Ooh,
NBA needs him, right? And he gets these injuries, and partially because of his body and the way he plays. I
mhm.
get it. He plays above the rim all the time, um, but you pray for those guys because the NBA needs him to be playing at a high level, so we can have that excitement of basketball every night. And it's so different now because the rules are different.
Yeah.
You um, we didn't have zone. You couldn't play zone. You can play zone now. You couldn't, you could put your hand on people and physically hit them. And I mean, I even in fights. I mean, I remember Danny Ainge and Moncrief would fight every time we played the Celtics. And you know what the officials do? They go and say, "Hey, cut that out. All right, I'm gonna throw both of you. Hey, both, you hear me? Cut both of you. I'm gonna throw both of you out of here." That the official would directly go to them and tell them that, and they respected that, and they
And
backed up.
something, you're right, because I remember when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar banged out Kent Benson and stood in the game.
But that's and they clean it up,
Yeah.
and I think it was a good thing. They cleaned it up with the physicality and guys taking cheap shots and whatever it may be, but it made the basketball game a little cleaner. And I like the game today. I mean, it's tough. The only tough part for me, Conn Man, is when I came in the league and I learned the game through guys shooting threes. Okay,
Hmm.
that's what bothers me. So when I came in, Brian Winters could shoot threes. Junior Bridgman could shoot threes. Moncrief could shoot threes. Craig Hodges. Those guys were that Charlie Chris. Those guys were special in that stuff. Mike Glenn uh, could shoot threes. Those guys were special in those areas. Now, I'm saying this. If you're shooting 40+% from the 3-point line, good luck. Shoot all you want. But everybody, if you're shooting 25%, come on. I mean, that's just me. And it's hard for me to watch everybody just come there and jacking threes. But I also get the analytic part of it. If you shoot more threes than they shoot twos, you can probably win most nights. That's here or there, and that's tough for me to watch at nights. Um, but I think the young guys, the way they play today, and it's exciting, and the scores and the numbers are 100 plus. The team to play against, who scored a lot of points when I came in the league was Denver. You know, they were the running team that was running up 100 plus points every night. But other than that, everybody else was in 85, 92, 93 average. And that was hard work.
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to get it done.
Now, Paul, you were known as a defensive stalwart. Now, I'm going to hit you with a good question.
Yep.
In your 10-year, 11-year career, which was outstanding, who gave you the toughest time?
Oh, wow. I'm going to say, but seriously, there was a bunch of them because I had to play against those guys that could get buckets. But I would say Bernard King. Um,
Ooh, ooh, yes.
Bernard King. Bernard King was a machine. He never wasted dribbles. He never wasted moves. Uh, and he had that look on his face where he said, "I'm gonna give you everything that you can ever think of," and he never wasted any time. And you knew once he got the ball, he never got the ball in a spot where he couldn't operate right away. He catch the ball at 16, 17 feet, and is either pull up and shoot, one dribble, or if you play too tight, he was good enough to get past you. He was probably the toughest. I would say he was the toughest. Now you can go to Michael, you can go to Bird. Those guys, once they got rid of the ball, you thought you took a break. You got 3 picks coming, and so. But Bernard was a different kind of guy because they relied on him to get them 35, 40 a night to win on a consistent basis. And so he was probably the toughest guy I had to play against.
I think I have no problems with that. Now, I'm gonna hit you with another question since I
Yep.
got you on. Who is the GOAT? And there's a reason why I'm bringing that up. There's a reason. I have a method to my madness.
I don't think it's a GOAT. I really don't. I don't think you can pick one guy. And I say it for this reason because times have changed, rules have changed. You can go back to who was the leading scorer of shooting the 3-pointer, this and that. Well, years ago, guys didn't have 3-point line. You know, the rules changed because now you can't put your hands on guys. Now they got zones and all that stuff changes. And so when you look at the Kobe's, the LeBrons, the Jordans of the world, who we all try to look at, even Kareem, I just look at even Oscar. These guys, man, in their own rights, all other GOATs. They're all established for us to even talk about it, to say, how can you compare this guy with this guy? It's not fair. You just
Right.
can't. It's just two
And it's
different.
different eras.
Yeah, and I just think that I look at all
You-
those guys when everybody starts talking about the GOAT, who's the GOAT, blah blah blah. I said all those guys established the NBA to a different level. And we ain't talked about Julius Erving. You
Oh
know,
no.
to me, when you look at Julius and how he played the game and how he brought excitement and how he impacted the game and how many championships he won and the way he displayed the game and how he respected the game. You can go on and on and on and on, but I don't think it's just one. I really don't. I think you can pull a whole pool of them and stick them all up there, and you go, you guys are the
Now
GOATs.
I want your take on who I think the GOAT is. And you already mentioned his name, Oscar Robinson. Now let me tell you why.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, but if it wasn't for Oscar Robinson, what he did off the court to help the players out.
Yes,
And I
sir.
remember 1961, I was only 1 year old, but they had the All-Star game. The first All-Star game was at the Boston Garden.
Okay.
And Oscar Robinson, because back then, when you had injuries, you had to pay for it. You had to pay your own medical bills.
Wow.
And,
I didn't
because
know
of
that, but
Oscar, they went the All-Star game and said, we're not going to go. I think we're not going to play. 1 hour before game time. And to me, Oscar Robinson, he was a civil rights person, and
sure.
he did more to change for what the players now and then in future. And I talk about, we talk about Michael Jordan, billionaire, and has done everything in his community and
Yep.
schools and everything. But what have they done to the betterment of players?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my view.
Yeah.
They
Well,
bettered themselves. They brought
yeah.
entertainment. They helped establish more money. That's why the players are making more money. But here I am talking to you, and you played 10 years in the league, right? So,
Well, I mean,
but that's my take.
yeah, and you got some leverage on even speaking on that because the fact that nobody really knows how all these guys have impact on it. I'll tell you one of the biggest things for me as an ex-player, and I appreciate all the young guys that was on the board, and I think it was probably LeBron and Chris Paul was probably the 2 biggest names that pushed insurance for the Retired Player Association. Uh, that was probably the biggest, and it should have happened years ago, but sooner than later, better late than never. But that changed my life in living after basketball. Because I'm gonna tell you, Conn Man, to have to spend $1,200 to $1,500 a month with no income from the old, like from the NBA, but you got to pay for your insurance. That's what you have to pay, man. That would send a whole lot of brothers to the poorhouse if you had to pay that. Now you might can
Mhm.
do it for 5 years, 10 years, but that was unbelievable. And I think I take my hat and commend all the young players that are active and the ones that are not active. That thank God that they were able to put that in place, and I think that's
Yeah.
probably
And
one of
then
the
also the fact is, if it wasn't for Oscar Robinson, there'd be no free agency. So, you
That's
know what I
right.
mean? It's like, I remember when Sam came on, they were treated like slaves, basically,
Yeah.
because
Oh
you
yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, to me, because I consider myself a historian, I look back on what they had to go through and the strides they made for not only the current players, but for future players. And I think that's so important and that goes unnoticed. But here's one thing I want you to see about this one. If you notice, you remember that picture they had with Muhammad Ali and
Yeah.
Bill Russell
Bill
and Lou
Russell,
Alcindor?
Jim Brown, I think was in there. Uh,
Well, with your take, do you know, have you ever seen Abdul Jabbar coach?
Ever seen him coach?
He's banned from it almost. And
No, no.
another one, Oscar Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and you look back and go, because you probably want to say back in the early '80s, mid '80s, uh, those guys potentially maybe could have had an opportunity to coach. But those two guys, Kareem and Oscar, they were such big statures of intimidators in the public's eye, in the organization eyes. Like, we can't let this guy come in here and coach, because he might be blah blah blah. And I think that was kind of a thorn in their side, and that's not a bad thing or good thing. It was reality. And so during that time in the '80s, and even for sure in the '70s, there was a different kind of persona of how they perceived and looked at professional athletes. And if you stood up for black athletes, then there was some tough challenges. And I think during that time, um, it was definitely like even Jim Brown. Jim Brown was that same kind of stature. Uh, Speak his mind, and you could say it was right or wrong, but that's the way he felt. And those guys didn't get those kind of opportunities. I think Kareem later on kind of got a little feel, a little taste of something in the basketball world, uh, working out big men and stuff like that. But other than that, I definitely in my mind would have believed they would have been great coaches. I mean, really been good
Now,
coaches.
another thing I want to talk about, because we're going to talk about your coaching career as well. Uh, Lou Alcindor back then, his choices were UCLA
Yeah.
and St. John's. Imagine if he had
That's
gone to
home.
St. John's.
That's home. That's home for him. That's in his backyard, New York. Lou, I think was Lou the coach at the time? Lou Sucker, or was it somebody else? It was somebody else, I think, before Lou.
I'm not sure.
But I coached there 4 years.
I know that's why I brought it
And,
up.
St. John's. I mean, back in the day, man, was like one of the powerhouses. Of course, Chris Mullin was probably the guy that really kind of got them established. And you had Mark Jackson and Artest and all those guys started rolling in there to make some real ground and to make some real noise. But that's a little different kind of, like today, with the NIL money, in college basketball. I think it's a good thing. Matter of fact, I'm trying to go back to the University of Tulsa and see can I get me some NIL money. But it's a good thing. I just think they need to get it under control a little bit, and because the players they're the ones that make a lot of money for the school. So why not?
They sure do. And because of COVID, players be transferring left and right in the portal. It's crazy.
It's
So
high.
I think it's tough on your coach. It must be tough to keep players on your roster because if they're not happy with playing time, they're gone. You know what
Well,
I mean?
your recruiting thing now become and I don't know if this happened or not, but I've heard some of it that they're telling you, okay, we're gonna give you $500,000, and they only give you maybe three by the time you get there, blah blah blah. So guys are like, oh, you know what? Over here at this other school, they're gonna give me an extra 200, 300,000. I'm out. Because now it ain't about the schoolwork. It ain't about graduating. It's about how much NIL money can you pay me, or what kind of deal, shoe contract, what kind of car deal I can get, what kind of home I can get to take care of my parents, et cetera, et cetera. And the only difference now, back when, even before I came into play, they were paying players. It was illegal. Yeah, it was illegal, but now it's legal. And so now that the higher bid, the one that spend the most money, like the schools that are used to doing it, Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, all the big boys, UCLA, those are the schools that spend money in their basketball programs. They really, really do. And they're not going to change. They're still going to try to get the best players. And right now, it's whoever got the highest bidder probably get the better players.
So really, it's not even about championships. It's about money.
Well,
question. You know you don't coach right now. Because you know we've lost a lot of coaches now because they don't want to deal with the NIL. You know what I mean? So if you were coaching in today's game, do you think it'd be that much more difficult for you to, I guess, deal with the NIL? And if your school didn't have as much money, or the kids won't be offered as much as they can with another school, how would that affect your coaching?
Well, I don't think it'd affect my coaching as much as it would if you don't have the right resources. And what I mean by it, if you don't have, like, you want to get the best players, you better have $8-10 million, NIL money, because you ain't gonna just pay the highest guys who might make, 800, 600,000, but you got to pay those other guys too a couple $100,000 just to be the medium guys, But it's about having the money. Because, for example, a freshman to come out of high school and say he got 5 visits. All right, I'm going to Kentucky. All right, my first visit. I'm gonna go there. Kentucky gonna offer him $300,000. Well, my next visit is Arkansas. Well, Arkansas, who you just come from? Oh, I just come from Kentucky. Oh, how they treat you down there? What kind of NIL money they offer you? Oh, they offer me $300,000. Oh, we got 5 for you here. Well, there's so many campus. Let me go on around. I got 3 more visits now. I'm going to UCLA in 2 days. You go to UCLA and say, well, I see you went to Kentucky and you went to Arkansas. So what kind of NIL money? Well, we got 800 for you here. So that's the game they're playing. And I'm not mad at the kids. I'm not mad at the schools. That's just the way it is right now. And if I was coaching, you have to have some resources to be able to compete with that. And if you don't have the resources to compete with that, just look at the schools that don't have much money. The only difference with that is if your conference, is the medium conference or a small D1 school, you just got to compete with them. You ain't got to worry about trying to compete with the big boys because their money is, they got that, as my sister-in-law would say, they got that giraffe money. It just going out
there. Well, after your NBA career, talk about how you got into coaching.
Excuse me?
After your NBA career, talk about how you got into coaching.
How did I get into coaching? The blessing for me was, and I can back up, when I got drafted by Milwaukee, I go into training camp, and we always had our training camp at Marquette. And so that's literally from the arena and everything, a mile. And so I went to training camp. About 2 weeks into training camp, Don Nelson pulled me on and said, hey, Rook, come over here. He said, if you wouldn't have got drafted, what would you be doing? I said, I'll be coaching. Because I knew that's something I wanted to do and, give back to the game I love so much. And so anyway, fast forward, right? 10 years, I finished playing. I'm playing in San Antonio under Larry Brown. They fired Larry Brown. Greg Popovich was one of the assistant coaches. Don Nelson calls me about Greg Popovich. He said, hey, Press, what do you think about that Popovich guy? I said, oh, you'll love him. Sharp guy, direct, got the military mentality, blah, blah, blah. 3-4 days later, He hired him in Golden State. 2 days later, he called me back. Hey, Press, I'm a free agent. He said, what you plan on doing? I said, well, coach, I think I might want to play another year. I had a little calf injury that was nagging me. He said, well, I got another coaching spot here. Um, you know, if you come up and I tell you what I do, if you come up and somebody call you, would let you out your contract. And if one of my guys get hurt, I activate you because I was still playing. All three of those things happened. I got a call from Greece. At that time, I had 4 kids, and and then of course I think it was Tim Hardaway got hurt, and he activated me. So I played about 3 months, 3.5 months. It gave me my 11th year. Um, all those things happened, but I rewind back to say this: when he asked me that my rookie year, what would I be doing if I wasn't playing as a professional athlete? I said coaching. He remembered that. And so he brought me in on it and coaching. And I got 21 years after that.
And also, I wanted to talk about, I'm sure you're familiar with him because he came on my show as well, Mike Jarvis.
Mike Jarvis, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. He was at St. John's as well.
Yep. And of course, Chris Mullen was there before we got there.
Yes.
And I tell people, I said, Chris and I were teammates / and I coached him also. Good man, love him to death. And when I first got there, I told him, say, what can I expect, man? This is my first college opportunity, blah, blah, blah. He's all press, us New Yorkers, we're a little different. But just come in and put your hard hat on, man, and get at it. And I said, okay, I can do that. That's all I know. But a good career. I mean, Conn Man, I can't complain at all. I said, one of my old New Yorker friends, I don't know if you ever heard or know him. His name is Ron Brown. And Ron Brown helped us get a player out of New York when I went to junior college. But he says all the time, he said, hey, he called me Pablo. He said, hey, Pablo, I'm not complaining, I'm just explaining. So I'm just explaining.
There's another question. I'm glad I got you on because I'm going to kind of pick your brain. Why? I got to put this nicely. I'm going to keep it real. How come Mark Jackson can't get a damn job?
Blows my mind. Conn Man. I don't know. I will say this about Mark. He's been very humble, uh, very professional about that whole thing. And I feel bad for him because when I first saw him coaching those first few years in Golden State, man, I was like, this dude got some nice skills about coaching, his whole demeanor and all that. Matter of fact, he coached. I think my son went to work out there or try out there for a minute, my youngest son. And I just called him and just told him thanks for giving him an opportunity to come up there. But I don't know. I wish I could give you an answer though. I have no idea. I feel bad because, man, he would be one of the really, really good ones.
To me, it's a damn shame because he drafted Steph Curry, as you know. So I mean, and he's not getting any credit for it. They talked about his conviction to religion that has something to do with it. That's what I'm hearing.
Come on.
That's what I heard. But we know.
I'm just telling you that I'm a godly man myself, but that shouldn't stop me from, you know what I mean? And I get real with him now, Conn Man, when I have to, because
I know you.
because my thing is sometimes it's kind of like I can talk to you like in a suit, going here and going there. But then I can also, as my uncle would used to tell me all the time, he said, ain't nobody fool, but I can act like one. And so that to me, you got to know when to cross that line and when not to. And I just think Marcus, he wear his whole life and his thoughts and ideas on his sleeve. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It's tough too because you see all these coaches getting recycled.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're getting recycled. So
yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's difficult. I feel like they're getting, it's just a bad situation, man. You know what I mean? You see all these other coaches getting, they just go around the block. They go around keep getting other jobs, and you got Mike Jackson can't even get a goddamn job. And
Yeah.
it pisses me off. But let
Oh.
me ask you another question. So I got you
Yep.
out.
Yep.
I'm glad
Yep.
you came on my show again. You know, who is the best player you ever coached? You know me, I'll be asking some questions.
There's a lot of them. I can't name just one. I really can't because it's hard. Uh, I love Kobe. Very private guy. No nonsense. Just go to work. And then Tracy McGrady, just unbelievable talented. Just get it done quietly. You don't even know. He don't even like he's sweating out there. And then of course Tim Duncan to me is, man, the big fundamental was just a quiet assassin. Don't make him mad
Right.
because he don't show you that he's mad, but you see it in his game. And so it's just so many of them. David Robinson, who was I played with also and coached.
Ooh,
Um, I love Latrell Sprewell. In his younger days, I had him as a rookie, and so with so many of them that probably one of my killers, my real killers, uh, pound for pound, is Chris Paul. Um,
oh yes,
but
yes.
but what an assassin guy for his size, man! He cut you up any kind of way, which way. Um, it's just so many, and I can't say who was the best. I would say there was a lot of best
Right,
that
right.
that
How about your college players that you coach? Who you feel was one of the best players that you coach in college?
well, I was there for 4 years at St. John's, so um, man, talent wise, who's still in the league, and the only one that made it there is Julian Champagne, who's
Okay,
from
yeah.
from
Mhm.
from, from Jersey. So, and then you can trickle down to, and I call them tough guys. I love Posh Alexander, who I thought was one of the toughest guys for his size. Um, and a lot of other guys we had, again, that COVID year and then the NIL thing kick in, we didn't have them long enough. You had them 1 year, they were gone. We literally came in the first year, Conn Man, first year, 7 new guys. Then the next year, COVID hit. Now these guys leave. These guys transfer because of COVID. You try to bring new 7 each year. We brought in 7 to 9 guys the whole time,
Wow.
all 4 years. So you really couldn't get a hold of guys enough to really appreciate and watch them grow. Because to me, that's what college ball is all about. Is you send me a child or a boy, I send you a man when he's done. That's what it's all about. And teaching them, not the basketball game is easy. Teaching them about all the pros and cons you got to deal with off the court. Girls, schoolwork, family. I mean, it just go on and on and on. And you got to teach these young men because a lot of them just don't know. They don't.
And
They
then
don't
some
know.
too, yeah, you find out because they have this stuff on Facebook about all the players, most of the players that were millionaires are broke. So I
Yes.
think financial history and financial education would be great for them to learn. You know what I mean? Because these guys, when they're rookies, they want to buy their moms a house, which I think is great. But you don't need 5 cars, Paul.
No, 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 no. And when my younger son got a chance to play, and he got, matter of fact, his first 2 years with the Celtics, and they picked him up. They picked him up as a free agent, and he went in and played 2 years there. And then they picked up Isaiah Thomas. So my son is only like 5'10", 5'11", so they couldn't have 2 small guards. And Isaiah was more proven as a player and a scoring point guard. My son was more of a playmaker. So anyway, they had to let him go, and he moved on. And I say all that to say this. I said, son, I even told him, I said, you don't need to get you a pickup, get you a truck or something. Get you, he's like, No, Dad, I always wanted that Range Rover and blah blah blah. And I said, okay, that's on you. And at the end of the day, I'm like, but he learned, he gets it. He gets it. And now he's with the Celtics, coach, a player development slash video guy.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So
Wow.
yeah, so that's what he's doing. And um, I got two boys and two girls. Both of them played. All of my girls played basketball. Um, but at the end of the day, two of them went. Both boys got on scholarship for basketball, and my youngest daughter played volleyball on a full ride at Cal Berkeley, and then she went overseas and played professional for 5 years. And then my oldest one just quit after her junior year in high school and went on about her business. But I'm blessed. I'm fortunate with good kids. Um, and the NBA life have treated me very well to provide for my family and give me an opportunity to show my children to travel and move around the country and meet different kind of people and be exposed to the world. What a blessing.
Now, I want you to, if I didn't ask you a certain question, or maybe, Mike didn't ask me this, something that you want to relay to the viewers that maybe I didn't bring up, something that you might feel, because, Paul, what I do on my show is I like to have my guests make an impact.
Right.
So, I guess, what would you let the viewers know about, as you reflect on your NBA career and your whole career as well? What is it that you want let the viewers know that maybe I didn't bring up?
Well, I would like for the viewers to know the fact that the NBA life is not easy. Um, People look at it like, oh, they're making all this money and this and that, but a lot of responsibility comes with that. Just like you said earlier, oh, these guys make all this money, but some of these guys are broke. You know, so it's how you manage it. And it's a tough life because when you got people pulling on you, and I'm talking about people, family members and friends and your old teammates, say, hey man, I help you do this, blah, blah, blah. But it ain't about the money. It's about how many lives that you are touching in the process of this whole journey of the NBA. And there's a few guys that are doing that. When you look at all these professional athletes and you look around, you go, man, look at all these guys making all this money, whether it's baseball, football, basketball. But look at all the ones that didn't make it. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands that didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, at the end of the day, I want the fans and the people to know that be thankful and appreciate these professional athletes and help them navigate through this world of professional athletes because there are, for example, I'm going to give you one stat, and I know it's still high. Years ago, I know it was high. It was like 80%. Divorce rate, okay, with players, professional athletes, divorce rate. So in the midst of divorce rate, there is children who's getting affected by their parents splitting up. Now, how did that affect them? It affects them. And how does that affect society? It affects society.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot more to it. Fans and viewers and listeners, there's a lot more to the professional world than what you think is all glamour. And it's not all glamour. There's a lot of responsibility. And I was very fortunate to have a godly woman and who's my queen for 42 years, who mentor our children when I was away playing ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful for that. And that's the part that you got to be grounded in your household. I was grounded with my wife, my children. That was important to me, not making money. Playing ball was something I loved to do. I enjoyed doing. It paid me a way to take care of my life. And I'm thankful for that.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, I know the viewers who are going to be tuning in, how can they get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you?
AT 55 Gone Fishing.
There you go. Because I know people are going to be trying to contact you, man, because I just am honored and privileged to have you on my show. I want to thank you so much for coming on and giving us your time. I know you must be a busy man, and I just want
Yeah,
to thank
man,
you
I
from the
want to be
bottom.
going fishing. I could have been out of my pond fishing by now.
But again, I want to thank you for coming on my show. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I wanted you to be able to get your roses, your flowers. That's what I do now. I try to recognize people in the old school.
Yeah.
They're forgotten, not by me. So that's what I do. And
Well,
again,
my
thanks to
blessing
Claude
is,
for getting me in contact with you, because
yep.
this would never have happened.
Claude's my man, man. He's my
Yes,
man.
he is.
He coached my kid. He coached my boys, and what a blessing in that area. But my flowers and my joy right now, like I said, my 4 beautiful kids, and I got 10 grandkids, and so that to me is it's living now. I'm living for them now, and that's what it's all about.
I know I must bring you tremendous joy as well.
Absolutely.
Especially
Absolutely.
Paul. I just want to again thank you so much for coming on my show, and it's been a joy and a privilege. And maybe I can have you on later on. We can talk about the NBA landscape or
Yeah,
something.
we'll top it up with some more. We'll talk again. Feel free.
Well, folks, this has been Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. As you can see, we got our gear. We can't see it right now, but I got my own clothing line now, so we're going to be doing some pretty good things, some positive things as well. I think that's going to be honored. But folks, tomorrow night we have I don't know if you know about this lady's career. Her name is Amy Wansdorf. She was one of the best high school women's players of all time.
Wow.
And she was sexually assaulted by her coach,
Wow.
high school as well as college.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a very interesting show. Might be a little bit emotional, but like I said, I want my guests to make an impact. So you definitely have made an impact. And let the folks know one more time how they can get in touch with you. I want to make sure that they know.
A as in Apple, T as in Tom, the number 55, Gone Fishing, GONEFISHING at AOL.com.
Again, Paul, thank you so much. Folks, I'm honored to have you guys tune in tomorrow, 5 o'clock, as we have a very special guest. And again, Paul, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming on. And I will be getting in touch with you. We maybe talk about the playoffs or, the draft or whatever, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, Conn Man. You the man.
No, you the man. God bless you all. Peace. Stay safe. Thank you, Paul.
Sir. Thank you.